now I'm working on reinforcing this frame where I have the notches come into the original frame. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually taking cutting out a triangle, welding it up against, this is the edge of my notch here, right? And then I have holes drilled in here to plug weld these on so that I have a clean edge here, just so it kind of looks cool, looks nice. Otherwise you'll have the weld edge along here and it just doesn't look that good when you grind it. So this is cosmetic and structural. You don't want flat lines in your frame because, or straight lines in your frame, because that's a hot spot they call. So if you have some angled like this, it actually eats up some of the pressure because there's more surface area. I'm probably gonna end up drilling a hole all the way through up in here and then down here and then kind of fuse it all together. Maybe in here, something like that. But that works good. So what I'm doing right now here is I'm laying out, you can kind of see I got a bunch laid out here, right? And then a center line where I punched a hole, or I center punched to start drilling. And then these ones, since they're only what, about 2.5, 2.25 inches wide, they're actually going to go right in here, right? These are more probably cosmetic than anything, but I don't really like having welds show. Even if they are nice welds, I don't really like them showing, just because I think it looks cleaner when they're not. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'll just go ahead and drill these out when it's all together like this. Drill all these holes out, and then I'll just take it, cut it, and then weld them on there. Now you can see that I got all these holes drilled, and I got about 1/8 of the way cut through on each one. Just used a pneumatic cutoff wheel for those because that gives me the straightest cut. Better with the pneumatic than the electric. The electrics have a little bit more torque, so you don't have as clean of a cut. So now that I got it laid out clean straight lines with the air, I'm gonna go with my electric cutoff and cut those out all the way, and then they'll be ready to go on the frame. Just a little side note, when you're beveling these edges, you should probably wear gloves. I was holding this and I wasn't really paying attention, kind of speeding through it, and nicked my finger pretty good there. Got some super glue on it now, but make sure you wear gloves when you're beveling these edges. Don't be stupid. Don't pull a Luke and screw up your finger. So now that I got this piece cut, the holes drilled and the edges beveled, you can kind of see that it rocks a little bit on here. So that's because I have some welds that need to be ground down a little bit further right in here. And then also, this edge right here isn't consistent because I did a weld. So that weld there, the edge where I burned into this plate, isn't exactly consistent. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take a grinder and grind this flat until this is level. Okay? So if you look close in here, you probably can't see from there, but some of these tacks are actually hitting and keeping this from coming further this way. So I just have to grind that out, and then line all this up, and I'll clamp it all and then weld it. Couple hot tacks on there on the top and the bottom, and then I plug welded that tip hole right there, right? And now, so this is actually going to be kind of warm in here now, so you're going to want to actually rotate between spots here. So I've been also working on up here. Okay, so now that I'm kind of sitting waiting for that to cool down a little bit, I can come up here and plug weld these up. And then make sure you keep the clamps on until it's cool, because otherwise if you pull off the clamps as soon as you're done welding, it can actually pop a weld. So say if I were to pull this off right now, you can actually, if there's any tension in the steel, you might pop the weld off. It's the end of the day here. I started about 6 o'clock tonight, and it is 6 o'clock in the morning. So I got 12 hours in. I have no idea what day it is, but probably somewhere in the mid-20s. I should be somewhere around 210 hours. Got at least 100 in this frame now. This thing has really been a pain. But today I got these little triangle reinforcements in, as you can see here. Those help disperse the weight so you don't have a flat spot, you have diagonal spots like I said. And then I also welded on a weld nut onto this, so it's goes in here like so, like a cross member. It was a little off before, so I actually fixed it. Let's see what else. I got a lot of grinding done. Grinding takes a long time in itself. Got a little spots that I missed with the weld the first time. Patched those in a little bit. Got this frame finished boxed in the back here. Let's see what else. Basically all metalwork. I got a brand new welder. This is my first time using it today. Solar 2150. I burnt up my other one. You can see it over there. The wire feed motor took a dump, and that one is actually from 1983. So it's really hard to find a motor. It's a 24 volt motor instead of the 12 volt like the new ones are. So it's kind of hard to find those. I found one that was like 260 bucks, and I just said to hell with it. I just bought this. It pulls 30 more amps, or puts out 30 more amps than my other, and it also has DC straight and DC reverse polarity, so I can actually weld aluminum. All I gotta do is switch these around and put a different liner in the gun, different gas. My other one couldn't do that because it was just so old. It's got a bunch of different options on here, which is nice. Fits in my same cart. It's the same exact size as the other one. Same brand, just a newer model basically. Long process here. I'll probably have, I'm gonna guess, somewhere around 180, maybe 190 hours in the frame once I get the 4 links set up in front and the 4 links set up in back. Yeah. So, another day, another dollar. Thanks for watching. So I got about 80 grinding discs here. I'm gonna grind this frame down tonight. I hope I don't use this many, but I bought a whole bunch of them. Just using this little electric quarter cable grinder. Works a lot better than pneumatic, and then your compressor's not running the whole time. I go through these. One of these pads lasts probably about 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm going 60 grit. You can get 36 or 80 or whatever you like. So I'm going to start with the 60, and then I'll kind of work my way down. And for the little finesse spots, I'll just use a pneumatic because they're easier to control. You have less power, so it's not taking out as much of the material at once. And then also, if you really want to make it look nice, you can take, once you take this and grind this down with the 60 grit, you can take just a pneumatic one with, say, like a 100 grit pad on it and kind of go over it slow and kind of like polish it, roll the edges nice and clean. That's what I'll do too. It kind of sucks. This is going to take at least probably a whole day worth of grinding to do this, just because I'm doing so much welding and all the notches or Z's and for boxing and all that stuff. So enjoy the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget, every Wednesday I'll be uploading a new video of this build, and if you appreciate if you could subscribe, like, comment with any ideas, any comments, anything like that. Thanks for watching. I'm going to show you the best way to sort of grind these corners when you do a corner weld. So this is the top of my frame rail right here, and this is the side of the frame rail. Since I boxed the frame right in here, and then I did a corner weld, now I have this bead all the way across, right? And the bead is just a tad bit higher than this surface here, and a tad bit higher than this surface here. So what you got to do is you got to grind it flat on these two surfaces first. So you grind this flat, the tack exactly flat with this, and then you grind it this way, right? And then you're actually going to want to form it after that. So I'll kind of show you how to do it. Just a basic grinder, right? Take it and grind. And you see right here where it's showing metal on the frame, right? And it's also got this weld here flat. That means that your weld is flat with your frame. Okay, so watch again. I'm gonna get this spot right here flat with the frame, so I want this metal barely showing here to signify that I've hit this frame as well as hitting this weld when you hold this flat. Okay, so that shows you that this is exactly level this way, right? And then you basically do the same thing this way. And it's a lot like it's kind of like working with Bondo because you're looking for high and low spots when you weld. So right here, I'll do this here. And now if you look close in there, right, you can see I got that flat. And then I got this corner here now to worry about. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this grinder and I'm gonna get the basic shape down. So just get the basic shape, kind of like a 45-degree angle, basically how you want it. Okay, that's about maybe 1/8 of an inch wide, 45-degree angle, right? And then you're just gonna slowly blend it. That right there gives you about a perfect corner. You can go a little bit more as far as you, I guess if you want to radius it, go as far as you want to radius it. If you want it to match the outside, you're gonna have to go a little further. But keep in mind that every time you grind into this, you're cutting in your weld and you're making your weld weaker. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of taking off the edge so it's not sharp. This part's gonna be hidden so it doesn't really matter as much. But I want it to be not sharp, so when I'm working with it, I ain't getting cutting myself or nothing like that. So I'll just do that all the way up this frame here, all the way up these rails. Kind of a pain in the ass. Got a lot of frame to do, takes a while. But yeah, that's a little tip for you, hope it helped. So now that I got the corners of my frame roughed in with this sander or this grinder here, I'm actually gonna soften the edges with a pneumatic grinder. So what I'm talking about here is, if you look, the edges kind of look a little bit sharp, uneven. They don't really look as good as they could. So I'm gonna take this little 3-inch grinder with a 60 grit pad on it, and I'm gonna soften the edges and make them flow better. If you look close, you'll see a difference as I do it. Now if you look at this edge here, you can see that it's actually a lot softer than it was before, and it flows a little bit better. That's because it has a lower grit, lower cutting power, so it's gonna make smoother cuts versus sharper cuts, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that over everywhere on this frame that I've ground, and it'll just make it look that much nicer. Working on the 31 frame here. Today I got a lot more grinding and welding done. Got the boxing pretty much done on the whole underside of this. So actually it is done on the whole underside. This is the bottom side right now. It's flipped upside down. So now that this is done, I can actually take this frame and flip it over and then continue boxing the top, as you can see here, and I haven't done that yet. I started today at 7 o'clock and it's 7 p.m. and it's 4 a.m. now, so what is that? 9 hours. As you can see, there's lots of grinding dust. I've never had this much grinding dust on my floor. It's pretty gross actually, but that'll be fun to clean up. It's all over the damn place. But this is looking nice here. All this back here will be covered, so that's not as important as up here. Still got a little bit more grinding and forming to do on this right in here and out in here and whatever. Then I also got this little triangle piece in there. This is my bag cross member, so before I just had this flat plate, and now I formed this in and plug welded this in a few spots in here. So it has this smooth edge here. It's clean, not ugly from weld. And then just kind of ground it all, made it nice and rolled. Then I got a couple good hot beads in there. Just more insurance on the cross member there for the motor. So tomorrow I'll get some buddies over here. This thing is fucking heavy now. Probably weighs at least 3 times what it weighed before. So I'll get some buddies over here tomorrow and help me flip it. Then I can start or finish boxing the other side.